Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL predictions segment, I'm going to be giving you my 2017 NFL picks and analysis for Week 3. Now, anyway, the first game I'm going to take, it's going to be the LA Rams on the road over the 49ers. I mean, this could be the makings of a classic toilet bowl game. I think for the Rams, I mean, the Rams are averaging a lot more points per game than the 49ers are averaging, like 33 points per game. I think defensive tackle Aaron Donald will be better in this one. San Francisco, right now, they're either at the bottom of the barrel and total offense are very close to it. Only 24 first downs on the season. They have no touchdowns. In 2017, their offense looks really anemic, to say the least. I like the Rams to win this one on the road. Now, next game, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens to prevail over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Baltimore, well, is the ravenous defense back? They look pretty close to it. They got 8 defensive interceptions. They're +7 in turnover differential. Safety Eric Whittle had a good game the last game they played. This is really that they have not allowed hardly any points. I believe 10 points in the last 2 games combined, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a team that really it could be reckoned with in the AFC North. They might be able to make some noise. They could make the playoffs this season. It would not surprise me. Maybe it'll be a dogfight between them and the Steelers. This is you look at this also Jacksonville. I mean, I think they plummeted to earth last week against the Titans. Quarterback Blake Bortles, is he going to be their future quarterback? Who really knows? Now, they allowed, I mean, really, this is a team with Jacksonville. They look very good in that Week 1 performance against Houston when they registered 10 sacks against them. But I'm thinking that may have been a passing fancy. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars we're going to see is going to be the ones that are going to be closer to what we saw in Week 2 as opposed to Week 1. So I like the Baltimore Ravens to win this one on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos to win on the road against the Buffalo Bills. Denver, I mean, they had a very impressive game last week against the Raiders. They're #1 in rushing yards per game. Right now, they know how to ground and pound. They can dominate time of possession. And they just completely obliterated the Dallas Cowboys last week. I was very surprised in that particular game. They certainly got their swagger and confidence going into this one. Buffalo, right now, I mean, they're averaging a measly 10.5 points. 10.5. I think that's the points. That's their defense right now is giving up 10.5 points per game, which is, of course, really sensational. But they only mustered 3 points last week. So looking at this team, this is a team right now, I mean, that really hasn't found their offensive mojo. Their defense is lucky enough to bail them out to at least keep them competitive. They defeated the Jets in Week 1, but then, I mean, losing last week to Carolina, I mean, and only putting 3 points up on the board. And you have Denver. It looks like an offensive powerhouse. I like Denver to win this one on the road. Now, next game, I'm going to take Carolina at home over the New Orleans Saints. The Carolina Panthers held running back LaShawn McCoy to 9 rushing yards last week. Luke Kuechly, great defensive player. I think phenomenal defensive player. I think should have a good game in this one. Carolina is either #1 in time of possession or very close to it right now. I look for them to really, they can dominate time of possession and should win this one. But New Orleans right now, it's the same story, different year. They have a great offense, but they don't have a very good defense. They are dead last in total defense right now. Luckily, they have quarterback Drew Brees. They always have a shot with him in the lineup. But I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Carolina. I like Carolina and their defense. I think it'll be stronger than New Orleans' offense, so I'm going to take the Panthers in this one. Next game, Well, this one don't really need an overabundance of analysis. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road over the Chicago Bears. Pittsburgh is 2-0 right now. They've played very well. Week 1, they won. They didn't look that impressive against the Browns, but they still won. And last week they did play much better. Wide receiver Antonio Brown has 244 receiving yards. He's still, of course, one of the better receivers in the league. Now, the thing about it is Chicago is 25th in pass defense right now, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have an awesome day as far as their aerial attack goes. I look for the Pittsburgh Steelers will even play better this week than they did the last. And thing about Chicago, they have quarterback Mike Glennon, and the coach sounds adamant that it will be him that will be the starter in this game, but really that's by default basically because they may just not have anybody in their lineup, other quarterbacks that could be actually better than him. So, but anyway, I do like the Steelers to win this one on the road. Now the next game, I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons to win on the road against the Detroit Lions. I understand Detroit has looked very good in their first 2 games, but I want to see how they do against an upper echelon team. Atlanta, of course, is 2-0. They come off a very impressive 34-23 win over Green Bay. Atlanta actually is 11-6 on the road in their last 17 games and during the regular season. Detroit right now, their offense is jelly, number 6 in scoring offense. They're averaging nearly 30 points per game and +3 turnover differential. They're also 7-2 in the last 9 at home. They should make this a tight game. Detroit may be for real, but I think we're going to find out in this game whether they are or whether they're not. And let's see them go up against one of the more elite teams right now in Atlanta. But I like Atlanta to win this in a close one. I think they just are a little bit better from a personnel standpoint. Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, they do have they just have a very solid team overall. And I mean, if you could beat Green Bay, I think you can beat Detroit. So anyway, I'm taking Atlanta on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts to win at home over the Cleveland Browns. This could be the unofficial toilet bowl game of the week. Indy actually looked respectable last week. They did everything but beat Arizona. Cleveland, they have 14 consecutive road losses, and they're like 1-20 in their last 21 regular season games. And to top it off, wide receiver Corey Coleman may be out. He maybe have a broken hand, I believe. And these two teams have an 0-4 combined record. Also, Cleveland has thrown 5 interceptions. Their quarterback situation is just not very good, to say the least. And this is a team that just can't get out of its own way. It's so bad. I don't see them have any chance of winning this one. I like Indy to win this one at home. Next game, I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win on the road over the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of Minnesota's success in this game is, of course, would be predicated on whether quarterback Sam Bradford plays or not. I don't believe he is playing. They have rookie running back Dalvin Cook. And going against Tampa Bay in their run defense, I believe they only gave up like 20 rushing yards last week to the Bears. And I don't see how Minnesota, with their rookie running back Dalvin Cook, if he's going to really be able to put up very good rushing numbers. And if you don't have Sam Bradford in as quarterback, but it's going to be Casey Keenum, what is he really going to be able to do against the Tampa Bay secondary? I don't know if it's that much. I've said this in weeks past. I love the progression of quarterback Jameis Winston for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think he will play very well. And I like Tampa Bay to get this one on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the New England Patriots at home to win over the Houston Texans. I think whatever kinks that were in New England's armor, I think they got it out in last week's very solid win over the New Orleans Saints. New England is averaging nearly 32 points per game. They're 8-1 against Houston all time. They have dominated that series. They've won the last 3 games against Houston by an average of 22 points per game. New England is #1 total offense. Now Houston, they're dead last in passing yards per game. I don't think they're going to really be able to move the ball that well against the New England defense. Defensive end J.J. Watt, obviously he'll have to step up big time in this game, playing against a perennial Super Bowl contender and a team that perhaps a very strong consensus pick to win the Super Bowl this season. So the thing about it is the Houston, their points have been really at a premium, been very hard to come by this season. And you have New England who, I mean, in any game could rack up 30 or more points. I do like New England to win this one at home. Next game. Well, I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins on the road to beat the New York Jets. Miami did surprise me last week by defeating the Los Angeles Chargers. The sporadic and erratic Jay Cutler had a good game. I think he was like 24 for 33 passing. No INTs, had a very good quarterback rating. Jay Ajayi had 122 rushing yards. And the Jets' run defense is deplorable, to say the least. They're dead last in rushing yards allowed at 185 per game. I think that's going to be key in this game. I think Jay Ajayi is going to really run rampant this game, and I think he's going to eviscerate the New York Jets' run defense. And I mean, the Jets only have 2 total defensive sacks. They have trouble even getting to the quarterback. Jay Cutler should have plenty of time to throw. I like Miami to win this one on the road. Next game. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to win at home over the New York Giants. I mean, the Giants have been a major disappointment so far this season. Philadelphia has dominated the series in recent years. They've won 5 of 6 overall from the Giants, and they have won 3 straight games against the Giants at Philadelphia. Philadelphia was 6-2 at home last season. They're 7-2 in their last 9 at home. The Giants right now, they are reeling. I know it's just 2 games, but points are so hard for them to come by. They only have 1 touchdown to speak of in their first 2 games. They're 7-10 on the road in their last 17 regular season road games. And really, this is a team, I mean, Odell Beckham, I think, is, you know, even if he plays, is he going to be 100%? And Brandon Marshall has actually been very disappointing, another receiver on that team. He had a very makeable catch that he dropped, and he even acknowledged that I think it was on SportsCenter. So it's not all on Eli Manning. He's part of the problem, but he's only one part of major issues with this team. I think the coaching, maybe it could be a little bit of an issue as well. In this, I mean, they just seem like they might be a team in disarray right now. I'm going with Philadelphia to win this one at home. Next game. I want to take the Tennessee Titans at home to defeat the Seattle Seahawks. If you asked me this like a couple seasons ago, I thought it would be Seattle easily. But Tennessee, to me, has looked better in their first 2 games in Seattle. Tennessee rebounded nicely last week. They put up 36 points against Jacksonville. They got their running game going in the second half of that game against the Jaguars. Seattle, I mean, they are just not playing well. They are 1-1. They're just averaging 10.5 points per game. I think it's a team on the decline. I think they just have 1 offensive touchdown in 2017, and I think that came late in the game last week. So they were like the first 7 quarters of the season, if I'm not mistaken, without a touchdown. So their defense is bailing them out, and it's keeping them in the games. But how long are they going to be able to be dependent on that? They're going to have to get some offense at some point. And I think right now, when I look at it, I like the Tennessee Titans offense much better than Seattle's. And I think the Tennessee defense will be adequate enough to hold their own and win this game. I like Tennessee at home. Next game. I'm going to take Green Bay at home to win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Green Bay has won 7 consecutive home games, including the preseason. They were without 2 of their tackles last week. They had a game that was a little bit disappointing. That was on the road against Atlanta. And I mean, if you could beat, I look at it like this: Green Bay defeated Seattle at home in Week 1 this season. They could certainly beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati's only averaging 4.5 points per game this season, -5 turnover differential. This is another team that just looks very pitiful and in disarray. Let's see how quarterback Andy Dalton does in this particular contest, and AJ Green, if they could come back and at least, you know, make this game play well and make this game competitive. I think that's the only chance they have. I don't think they can. It'd be very hard pressed for me to see them winning this game. They're just not going to be able to put up enough points to beat Green Bay. Green Bay, I think, is going to put up at least 30 in this particular contest. I like the Packers to win at home, and as well as Stephen A. No, actually, it was in some football prediction magazine for this season said that about Aaron Rodgers being like a ruthless assassin on the field or something. Yeah, that'd be one way to describe him. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and you always, I mean, in most games, you are going to be favored when you have him at quarterback. I like Green Bay to win this one at home. Next game. I want to take Kansas City Chiefs to win on the road against the Chargers. The Chargers just have the propensity to lose games. It doesn't matter if they're close or if they lose by a lot. They lose a lot of close games. I noticed. I think they're 1-10 in their last 11, including the preseason. Quarterback Philip Rivers, he does everything he can, but he can't do it by himself. Kansas City Chiefs have 9 defensive sacks right now. Kareem Hunt, number 1 in rushing yards right now, and they're averaging 34.5 points per game. They have won 6 consecutive games against the Chargers. They have had their number, and I believe it will continue in this game. I look for them to win. That'll be their 7th consecutive win this coming week against the Chargers. I like Kansas City on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders on the road to defeat the Washington Redskins. Right now, I mean, Marshawn Lynch, I mean, he looks adequate. He looks like he's fitting right in with their system that they're employing with him. They're one of the better scoring offensive teams in the NFL. Washington, yeah, they barely got by the Rams last week. They had a disappointing game in Week 1. Oakland right now, I mean, they're just completely, dominating teams. They annihilated the Jets last week, but that was the Jets. Mind you, Washington will provide a little better competition. Oakland does have to go on the road to play them. But to me, Washington just does not seem maybe perhaps like a team that maybe others might have anticipated this season. I understand they have Kirk Cousins as quarterback. He's very efficient. But Oakland right now, they're like on this mission to dethrone New England as the top dog in the AFC. They may come close to doing it. I still like New England to win, to come out of the AFC. But Oakland is right there. With a healthy Derek Carr, they could certainly give them a run for their money. I think Oakland is just a much better team right now than Washington. They got more offensive weapons, and I do like them to win this one on the road. Now, last but not least, I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys to bounce back on the road and defeat Arizona. Running back Ezekiel Elliott, there's been a lot of talk with him, of course, about lack of effort perhaps in that game last week in Week 2. The thing about it is, really, regardless of how much effort he puts in, I mean, he's going to be better this week. I mean, last week he had 9 carries for 8 yards. You could do the math. That's less than 1 yard per carry. He's almost going to have to be better in this coming week. And Dallas is just too good, I think, to start 1-2. It would be mind-boggling if they actually lost this game and started 1-2. I mean, I know stranger things have happened, but I think in that kind of game, we're gonna find out this week when they play Arizona whether this whole situation where, all the talk about Ezekiel and Garrett perhaps talking to him, Jason Garrett, the head coach, is this going to rejuvenate this team and revitalize them, or are they going to continue on this downward spiral? Is this going to have a negative effect on them? I expect the Cowboys to come out with more passion, more hunger. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to play better. Arizona right now, they barely got by Indy last week. They could have very easily lost that game. This Arizona team just doesn't seem the same that it was in recent years past. Carson Palmer is still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. You have one of the better wide receivers in Larry Fitzgerald. But that being said, Dallas is still a team I think could be one of the elite teams in the NFC. Obviously they were completely dominant. They were obliterated last week against the Denver Broncos, who showed a great offensive and really defensive game, I felt. But in this particular one, I think Dallas is going to make their adjustments. They're going to come back and they'll play better, and they will be. I believe they will beat the Arizona Cardinals, so I'm taking Dallas to win on the road. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for my 2017 NFL picks for Week 3. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.